Pokemon TCG Pocket launched with massive hype, a way to collect, trade, and battle with the most beloved cards in the world right from your phone. Millions downloaded it, creators were flooding to YouTube with reactions, and for a moment, it looked unstoppable. But just a few months later, the cracks started to show. Retention has collapsed, the competitive scene feels broken, and the latest release, Deluxe Pack EX, might just be one of the most frustrating updates yet. Today, we are looking at the rise and fall of Pokemon TCG Pocket. When Pocket dropped in late 2024, it exploded out of the gate. Over 2 million installs, nearly 2 million in revenue in just 24 hours. Within months, it crossed 100 million downloads. By its 7th month, it had already hit 1 billion in revenue, faster than even Pokemon Go. Fans praised the card visuals, the opening animations, and the accessibility for both casual and competitive players. Pocket wasn't just another mobile game, it felt like the future of digital card games. But the honeymoon ended quickly. Retention started slipping, something Dina themselves admitted in a financial briefing. And while some drop-off is natural in live service games, the real problem is what came next: the meta. At first, players were experimenting with creative decks, trying out different strategies, but over time, the rank ladder turned into a monotonous grind. It came down to who had the strongest EX cards. From Celebi to Solgalea and now Suicune, players who ran those builds can oftentimes win, not because they outplayed their opponent, but because their deck was simply better on paper. The Suicune Greninja archetype has become one of the many faces of frustration. It wasn't just strong, it was everywhere. Matches felt predictable. Mirror match after mirror match, turn 1 setups playing out the same way. If you queued into ranked, you were pretty much already gonna guess what deck you were gonna face. Pocket Mads, a well-known content creator who focuses on competitive deck building and meta-analysis, described the state of the game perfectly.
We have Greninja, we have Cyrus, we have Irida. It's just a lot going on to be paired with Suicune, which is already a strong Pokemon. My opinion is that the deck is actually quite fun to play. The mirror match is actually pretty skill intensive, but one thing I will say is that playing against Suicune and Greninja really doesn't feel that great. There's not a lot of counterplay to it. I think a lot of people are trying to play Oricorio or all of these different lightning type decks, but in general, a lot of those lightning type decks are actually not that good into Suicune and Greninja, and I think that that's kind of a significant problem. I think a lot of people are probably confused a bit as to what decks they should be playing if they're not going to play Suicune and Greninja. So I think that the metagame has continued to develop into October, but I think most people are kind of in the, the B1, the Mega Pokemon waiting room.
Hearing this from someone with such an expertise on the game hits differently. For competitive players, these decks can be unstoppable and fun to play. But for more casual players, it meant the excitement of innovation has disappeared. It meant getting crushed repeatedly by the same decks over and over again. And for creators, it becomes harder to make fresh or spicy content when the decks are pretty much the same. This kind of meta stagnation is dangerous. A card game lives and dies on its strategic diversity. When it's gone, it doesn't matter how flashy the animations are, people will eventually log off.
Outside of opening packs or playing ranked, there really hasn't been much to do.
This became one of the community's loudest complaints. There are no meaningful side modes, no limited time events that would shake up the experience. We get, card art variation events or EXs like the Raichu EX event that's currently ongoing at the time of this video, but once you got your 2 copies a few days in, you're done with it. There isn't anything that will break the repetition. If you're not opening packs or dedicated sweating in ranked, you're basically staring at menus. We had emblem events before, but once rank launched, they even removed that, a fun limited time challenge that rewarded players. Instead of adding new ways, they started taking them away. For many, it felt like the game was shrinking rather than growing. Oh, and on the topic of ranked, that was completely mishandled early on. Players could lose their hard-earned ranks, their win streak bonuses were quietly removed, turning ranked into a slugfest rather than an incentive. What was meant to feel competitive ended up feeling punishing, especially for casual players who just wanted steady progress without risking everything on a bad streak. And to top it off, you're running into the same meta decks over and over again. The best way to describe it would be, it used to be fun, and now it's just managing daily tasks, not actually playing the game. It doesn't help that the game's progression system started feeling more like a chore rather than a reward. Many players logged in simply to clear missions, claim a small handful of currency, and then log out again. That spark of excitement that once came with daily play gradually dulled into routine, which again is dangerous for a live service game. And this wasn't just casual players feeling it, creators felt it too. Even well-known pocket streamers and YouTubers began expressing new pack fatigue. People were excited on release day, burned out a week later, and just waited for the next set to reset the cycle. But this also led to a vicious cycle of dropping a new card that will completely overtake the meta, then waiting for the next set to counter this, but then this new meta becomes the new meta running rampant everywhere, so then we wait for the next pack to... For some, this treadmill, this routine became too much. Not because they didn't love the game, but because there was no breathing room to enjoy it. The joy of deck building and experimenting got buried under repetitive dailies and relentless release cadence. And that brings us to the latest release, the Deluxe Pack EX. And at first glance, it sounds great. A catch-up set with over 350 cards, including reprints from previous expansions and even new artwork. For newer players, this should be the perfect way to get older staples. But here's the reality. The set is bloated with duplicates, base and foil versions of everything. The collection tracker only counts deluxe pack versions, so your old pulls mean nothing. Every pack guarantees a 4 diamond card, but from the same tiny pool, so most players just pull endless repeats. Pack points tied to this set were set to expire after 30 days, but they've since cleared up this mistake, stating it would not expire. And exclusive staples like the Professor Oak Full Art and the Crown Rare Candy, cards used in nearly every deck, are locked here. That creates blatant FOMO, pressuring players to spend before time runs out. Some see it as a smart cooldown set, dropped alongside Pokemon Legends ZA, to keep Pocket on life support until the next big expansion. But for many, it feels like a collector's trap designed to milk whales while leaving everyone else frustrated. So what's wrong with the Deluxe Pack EX? 3 things. 1, it's massive to the point of absurdity. Hundreds of cards with foils inflating the grind even further. Instead of catching up, players are buried in duplicates. Duplicates we can't even recycle or do anything of value with. 2, the value feels awful. Chase cards have a terrible pull rate. Free-to-play players can't realistically get them, and even spenders report dropping $50 to $100 for almost nothing. The only hype comes from hitting a god pack, which many won't even see, and it isn't guaranteed to secure anything of value. And 3, it does nothing for the meta. Rank play is still dominated by Suicune and Greninja, with no new archetypes or modes to mix things up. For competitive player, this set adds literally nothing. And since we get very few pack hourglasses to begin with, ripping these packs to chase cards feels like a useless endeavor. So the combination of a short 30-day timer and FOMO-driven staple cards make this pack feel less like a catch-up mechanic meant to help players and more like a predatory cash grab. And the community knows it. Players called it a waste and said they'd rather skip the month entirely. Others are worried they'd never come back. And that's the real danger. In a live service game, if players break their daily routine, many don't return. Pokemon's IP is strong, but no game is immune to momentum loss. For collectors, this set might be tolerable. For competitors, it's empty calories. And for everyone else, it risks being the breaking point. Recently, Pokemon TCG Pocket announced a new update for its first anniversary, adding friend gifting, expanded trading options, and some helpful Wonder Pick improvements. On paper, it's great. You can now gift up to 4 diamond rarity cards per day, trade from recent sets, and even see card counts while browsing. These are all welcome quality of life upgrades for collectors. But here's the thing, none of this actually adds value to playing the game. It's all about managing cards, not using them. Players like me will get that new toy rush for like a day or two, testing out trading, gifting with friends, and then just go back to opening the apps just to open packs. Without new modes, events, or meaningful gameplay updates, these features don't solve the core issue. There's still nothing to do. So where do we go from here? It's easy to talk about problems, but what keeps a community alive isn't just criticism, it's hope. Players still want Pokémon TCG Pocket to succeed. They want this game to reach that potential it showed in its early weeks. And honestly, players aren't asking for miracles. Right now, you can only earn pack points by opening packs from a specific set. This means that they effectively stall out as soon as the new set drops. Here's why that's a problem. With new sets releasing every month, most players don't have enough time to build up a meaningful amount of points to actually exchange for high-value cards. And when they inevitably shift their attention to the new set, because they have to keep up with the meta, their old pack points just sit there, untouched and unchanging. Over time, this creates a backlog of unusable currency tied to sets no one is opening anymore. It's not that the points expire, it's that they become irrelevant. A true universal pool would solve this. Instead of being tied to individual sets, pack points can accumulate in a single flexible currency that allow players to use across any set, past, present, or future. That would reward consistent play, give players more control, and remove the sense of being punished for not opening packs fast enough. It's not just about keeping up with the meta, it's about giving players agency over how they engage with the game. Duplicates are basically a punishment. Opening a pack and pulling your 5th copy of the same rare just doesn't feel good. It feels like a wasted effort. A card exchange system would let players convert duplicates into points or a crafting currency of equal rarity. This way, they can target cards they actually need, and it's not a radical idea. This kind of system exists in other digital card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and it works. It gives meaning to every pull, it turns frustration into progress, and most importantly, it makes collecting feel fair. Monthly set releases sound exciting on paper, but in practice, it's overwhelming. Players barely have time to experiment with one set before the next one arrives. Slowing down the pace gives decks room to breathe and lets the meta develop naturally. Makes the game feel less like a sprint and more like a journey. The best card games thrive on options. If there are multiple viable decks, then it would make every match feel different, every decision feel important, and can lead to more refreshing deck building experience. Encouraging diversity through balance, card design, or even rotating formats is the key to making competitive play feel fun again. Logging in shouldn't feel like clocking into a second job. Daily missions should be a bonus, not an obligation. Giving players the option to play on their terms would reduce burnout and keep engagement authentic, not forced. Converting daily into weekly objectives can do just that. A player who has school and work all day long on a Tuesday, or a parent who's busy with cooking or taking their kids to karate practice on Saturday will be able to find time rather than forcibly make it. Rank mode could shine with stronger progression incentives. More hourglasses, exclusive cosmetics, player titles are examples of small visual rewards that go a long way in making players feel proud of their time investment, giving rank mode the prestige it currently lacks. None of these recommendations are unrealistic, and they're not just wish list items. The community is loud because it's passionate, not because it's given up. Deluxe Pack EX should have been a win, a way to welcome back old players and give new ones a chance to catch up. But instead, it's become a case study on how not to manage a live service game. Too bloated, too expensive, too temporary, and too tone deaf to the actual needs of its community. But Pokémon TCG Pocket isn't dead yet. If Dina and the Pokémon Company listen, it can make the difference between a game people try for a few months and a game people invest years into. Because at its core, Pocket still has something no other game can replicate: the magic of pulling a Pokémon card anywhere, anytime. The ball is in Dina's court, and if they get this right, the game can become something truly special again.